meetings, as you know, and the chief and the command staff knows. And then these meetings typically tend to be the same, and I don't want to get numb to them. But at the same time, what I try to do is put myself in the seat of the audience and try and determine what the audience really wants to hear based on what's happening in this particular neighborhood. And so my comment to the audience is that as you come up and you have your comments to this commission, to the department generally, is that you voice questions that you would like the captain to answer, whether it's what is this department doing, are we doing enough? I have a lot of questions, frankly. When I look at some of these statistics, I see that some of these crimes are on the rise. Theft is, we have more theft so far this year in 5 months than we had in the last 2 years. Now, we have more theft so far this year than we had last year, and by the end of the year we'll have as many as we had in the last 2 years if we follow on to this record. I'm wondering to myself, and of course the homicides are a whole separate issue, as well as the shootings, which is not a statistic that I saw in there, but it is one that I'm very concerned about, because the shootings are what turned to homicides, but for the good work of our doctors in General Hospital, we would have many more homicides than we had last year. I think that is blatantly obvious in the years past. So I guess my question is, and then Chief, you could have anybody field this, because it's not necessarily fair that the captain field this question, but as a person sitting in the audience, which is where I try to put myself, is this department really doing enough with the resources that we have? And what is the problem? Why do we have so many children that now have guns, and the last shooting, the big shooting that happened last week, where there were 7 people shot in a 24-hour period, involved children as young as 14 and 12 years old. 11. 11 years old is what I'm hearing. What is this department not doing that we're allowing that type of thing to happen in this city?
I think it's a phenomenon that it keeps moving to younger and younger ages, and that the firearms are moving to younger and younger ages. It's not something that we understand why that is happening, but the department is doing everything they can to remove the firearms from the community. The department does not want the firearms in the community. They're a threat to everyone in the community, so everything we can do to remove those, working with ATF to do investigations where individuals are bringing large numbers of guns in from out of state, that have happened in the last year. I can't think of anything that we're not doing to try to reduce the number of firearms and therefore the violence.
If there's nothing that we're not doing to reduce the amount of firearms, obviously the department doesn't encourage firearm use in the streets. There's no question that the members of this department are working their tails off on their daily routes. I'm just concerned that we're not doing enough as a police commission and as a citizen of this city. If I were to sit out there, I would think to myself, these guys sitting on this board, this police commission aren't doing enough. This police department isn't doing enough, and at what point do we hold them accountable? And that's what I'm concerned about, because I think that we are all accountable for crime in the city. That's our jobs. It's not the job of any person that's sitting out there watching us here tonight. It's our jobs to do that. And if we're not bringing down crime, and I don't want to hear about how crime is on the rise in other cities, because I don't live in those cities. But if we're not doing the right job, then we need to make some serious changes. If we're not bringing down those crimes, we need to enact measures that are unprecedented. We need to take chances. We need to take some risks with some new measures. And as a police commissioner, it's my obligation to do something. And so, I look forward to this department bringing forward some really fresh ideas on how we can really change the sentiments out there, because I know that the community, parts of this community, don't trust this department, and that could not be more destructive to the relationships that the department has had, or their ability to enforce crimes and reduce crime. And so, you know, I'm at a point in this commission, I've been here for 3.5 years, where I'm thinking to myself, if we don't act, this community is going to react in a way that we deserve. And I think it's just about time that we do that. I actually look forward to Commissioner Sparks' leadership in the coming year to actually do that, and the participation of this department to do something different. So, thanks for your presentation, and to the public that's here, let us know what questions are sitting in the back of your minds, because we really want to know what you think as citizens of these neighborhoods, and I frankly want to hear the answers from this department, and we'll give you the answers that we can to the extent that we have them. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sparks. Captain, thank you for your presentation. I do have some specific questions, but I really would like to hear from the public more than anything else at this point. I do have a general question for you. If I could just broadly ask you this, what's your sense of the police department, the Northern District's relationship with the community? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that we have a good relationship with some parts of the community, and obviously there are parts where we could do better. We could have a better relationship, and it's an ongoing effort to try to improve that relationship. The beat officers, I think specifically, you know, we're here in the Western Addition. I think the beat officers in the Western Addition have gone a long ways in improving our relationship. The residents of the Western Addition, some very strong relationships that I think you'll hear about tonight, have been forged from that. The increase in the 14 beat officers down in that area. So there are areas where we have strong relationships, and others, I think the best answer is where we need to continue to work to improve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Captain, I do have to apologize. I have to go to another forum, so I do want to ask one question. Your district covers a very broad spectrum of different communities. You have refugee, young families, and you have elderlies living in some of the senior housing projects. And I also noticed that you have, under your bilingual officers list, you do not have anyone to speak Vietnamese, and in your district you have a pretty sizable Vietnamese population. So when you encounter situations that you need to converse with a Vietnamese-speaking person, how do you go about that?
The officers would put a call out initially if they were to run into a situation on the street for a Vietnamese-speaking officer to come from a different station, just like any language. Or it could be Spanish, and we might not have one of our 5 Spanish-speaking officers working that day. So they would put out a call for that, and then they can also go to the telephone company to use their translation services in the event they have to interview someone to talk to them.
And I also understand that some of the seniors who live around the senior housing projects said that they were afraid to go out, especially after 5. Have you worked with these senior service agencies to make sure that they feel comfortable going out, and do you provide extra patrol in certain areas just to make sure that they arrive home safe? Because many of them, they go around town until...
Certainly the housing developments with the 14 extra officers that we have in the Western Addition provides an extra presence, and they work with all those different housing developments. And we have seniors both in low-cost housing development. We also have them in some pretty high-priced condominiums on Van Ness Avenue. And they have some special concerns like trying to cross Van Ness Avenue, just concerns for them, bicycles on the sidewalk, those kinds of things, which are obviously different than the concerns in the Western Addition. But we try to work with all of them to make it safer for them.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Captain Dillon's report. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Frank. How much a role the commission can play. We've been dealing with the police department, the DA's department, X number of city agencies, DPW, all these other mayoral agencies to try to get them to think outside of the box. The system, the way it is today, doesn't work. A police officer can go and bust a prostitute around and a half hour, and back out in the street earning money for their pay. The system considers women who work for pimps as victims, and I agree, but I think it's hypocritical to have that view, and then when a prostitute is busted, to give them back to their victimizer in half an hour. So I'm really looking for out-of-the-box thinking from this commission, from every department in the city, to try to solve these issues. A lot of the judiciary and a lot of people in the city think that prostitution is not a violent crime. It's not true. The entire community suffers. It brings in drugs. It brings in the pimps start shooting people, and it just escalates. So I'm asking for help. I'm asking what citizens can do working with all the city agencies to affect these problems. And to another point that Commissioner Veronese made, we welcome the commission, the president of the commission, to come to our meeting. We have a monthly meeting, third Monday of every month, at It's a Grind Coffee House, Polk and Washington. We get between 60 and 80 neighbors at every meeting, and we're looking for answers and looking for help to resolve these issues and many other issues. And the Community Justice Center, to me, sounds like a great idea because it takes the opinion that if you solve and address the lower level crimes, you prevent the big crimes from happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so everyone's aware, I didn't mention before, the speaker has 3 minutes, and also just to clarify the commission by city law cannot respond to individual public comments.
So, my name is Cheryl Davis. I live and work in the Western Addition. And I just wanted to get up and say a couple of things. First off, there are 2 big community meetings happening at the same time, so that's part of why people are not here. And I know that one of the meetings people are talking about coming over afterwards. The other thing I just wanted to acknowledge, there's the positive and the negative, and definitely there's a lot of negative that's gone out about the Western Addition in the area. But just to speak about the Foot Office, Beat Patrol and those officers, they've done a great job. I'm looking forward to working more with Lieutenant Colonel Johnson around the community policing, because the reality of it is that you really, as police officers, can't do much more. It's going to take collaboration with programming and the schools and the families and everything else, because it's not as simple as putting more police officers on the street or cracking down on crime. It's definitely a mindset and a training, and it has to do with building relationships. So Officer Ron and back there and Damian Jackson and other folks are key to making a difference because they have a relationship. Officer Lieutenant Khan as well. So I think coming in and trying to resolve the issue just amongst the police is not going to happen. And I think the idea of doing the community meetings is great, but in the future, not so much on Captain Dillon, but on the commission, when you get ready to make a decision to have these meetings in the community, to maybe check in with the organizations that are holding these meetings, like Valley Ground with Lower Haight or Hayes Valley Neighborhood Association, or we do meetings that have about 40 different CBOs present. If you can work it out so that it's not necessarily about your time frame or timeline, that you can coordinate with them so that they can be doing the work, because it's not, if the police invite somebody to a meeting, they probably aren't going to come. So it's about reaching out to folks that work with the community and getting them to invite people to attend.
Evening, commissioners, East Washington, and staff, welcome back. That's an issue. I just want to echo a few things that Dave said about our foot patrols and our community relationships with we have a wonderful Lieutenant Colonel Johnson here. He's a hell of a guy. We know him for a long time. We're glad to have him here. And our foot patrols, they're doing some of what they're supposed to do, John. They're community related with the community. I just want to reflect on some of the things that Commissioner Joe has said about all the violence that has been going on in Western Michigan. And as David said, we can't really blame it on the police themselves. But one thing I like to look at that does it take all that violence and all that shooting for police presence? I mean, it's almost like a little too late now. You know, when we go back, and I was on the board of the community police relationship where we wanted more presence of police, and we went through that era of not enough money for the police department to do the patrol, but yet we have it now. So there's a lot of politics that was involved, but I'm saying if in fact we had police at these sites and where they are now in Western District, you notice there aren't any more shootings for right now, you know, because the presence is there. And I don't know, does it take all that shooting before they have the police there? I mean, when the community cry out for help because of the police, they should be coming out there. I mean, that's their job. Now, the other thing about the outreach, I'd like to just elaborate on that. They said maybe we should have more. We have a department for outreach. I'm not sure how the police department does that because this community is almost a tight-knit community. Because of all the recent violence, a lot of different groups are meeting about different things. We just last week had a walk in the community, stop the violence. So that could explain it. Then there's another issue that's going on at the West today. So that might be one of the reasons why we're not. But I just want to welcome you, thank you, and congratulations to the president. I have to be down to the police commission meeting because I've been kind of busy. I know y'all miss me, but I'll be back. But anyway, on a serious note, I think Captain Dillon is doing a wonderful job and the staff at Reach. I mean, this is quite close-knit here. But let me just say on the violence thing, how it's getting younger and younger. It seems as if, and it is, these youngsters are getting younger and younger with the guns. Now, I want to just add a press conference about the indictment that's going to be coming out in the Western District. I mean, I knew about 2 months ago, but I couldn't get no information because it was still an investigation. But I do have comments about that. Don't have enough time about that, but I do think that that indictment that's coming out here about it needs. I mean, the city. Okay, I don't have enough time, but we're not talking about that. So.
Hi, I'm Val Brown, Lower Neighborhood Organization, and I just want to just affirm everything that Cheryl Davis said about us working together as a community. One of the things that we do is we all meet in Western District from the different communities, Hayes Valley, Lower Hay, Western District, and we talk about how we can engage the community to come forward. We know that a lot of the youth violence that is going on, it didn't just start with guns and shootings. There were things that started before that, and you know, where was the intervention? And so there are the programs out there like what Cheryl's doing, More Magic, and other things, and just telling your community and educating the community and giving the trust that when they see a youth that needs some assistance, to reach out. And one of the things that we're doing in our community is we're trying to reach out and have everyone get to know each other. And that's not only our beat officers. We work with our beat officers to get to know the community, invite them to our community meetings, our neighborhood parties, all kinds of things, so they can actually see positive. The children can see positive things with the police gun. It's just not an enforcement. I also think that we really need to have creativity with the police department, because I think a lot of the things that's been done in the past hasn't maybe been working. And we want to work with our officers and our captains and our commanders and the police force to start doing new things and just try things. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't think we're going to be any worse off than we are. And so we've been doing that in the Lower Hay. We have a pilot program with our 2 beat officers that we actually wrote a grant. Our beat officers wrote a grant. I kind of polished it a little. And we sent it into MLCJ, and Saban's our fiscal agent. And we're actually going out into the community and having community meetings and educating the community of how and what they need to do to be more proactive and engage in the community. And this is for their safety, because we really feel that the community needs to step up. It's not only the police, the DA, we like to point fingers at everybody, but until we step up as a community and take responsibility for ourselves and our children in the neighborhood, I think things are going to stay the same. So that's kind of our message is that, and everybody here works together. We need to step up. And also, like I said, try new things would be great.
Dylan and his team at Northern Station for their work in the community district-wide. As you know, state oftentimes acts as a liaison between the community and the police department. So I wanted to let you know that more often than not, there's positive feedback on the relationship building that the police department is having with the community. They're at every neighborhood watch meeting, they're at every community meeting, and they're there to help us address personal safety issues, quality of life issues, district-wide. And like